right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Sports Affiliation Betting Collaboration. Looking to get your betting needs filled today. As always, want to give a shout out to our very special sponsor, Better Vision. Make sure you go download it. It's right now just on Apple. They're working on getting it on the Android, but you can put all your books, multiple books. You know, we tell you guys to get the best odds, even if it's a 5 difference on the odds, take it. All right. It's just more money. So you want to have all those books, look at them all from Better Vision, and we'll be able to just track our bets right then and there, daily tracking of your bets. Evan, how you doing today, man?
I'm doing great, man. It is week 6. I feel like I was saying it's week 1, just yesterday. So we're just cruising through the season, and on that Better Vision, man, one thing with betting, we try to give some tips. We try to help as much as possible. When the lines move, there's sometimes books that don't move as fast. And if you're seeing on 5 or 6 books that the total dropped down to 47 and you're still seeing it at 50 somewhere else, A, it's a lot easier to see it when you have it all in one place. B, it's probably a good place to jump in and take that under 50. You're just getting that little window against the books. Hard to find that. You're just boosting the percentages. So just to add that in. But, man, I'm good. How are you, Iggy?
I'm great, man. Yeah, just to reiterate your point, when you had James Cook, I think you were able to get him at 13.5, and then that line moved up to 17.5 receiving yards, I believe. So that's just an example of what you want to try to take advantage of, what you can look for. If you're new to us, make sure if you're watching it on the X, please go to the YouTube, just subscribe to our channel. You can watch us on X, but we do like to have interaction. So if you have any betting questions, just please put them on the YouTube. Of course, you can follow us at the Sports Affili. If you have a betting question, simply just post it, tag us. Somebody will come answer it. Evan, me, Anthony. We got quite a few bettors. JC, Coach Craig. So there's quite a few of us that are actively betting, even though the Sports Affiliation Betting Collaboration is particularly Evan and I. We will be getting some guests in going forward, okay? Let's just get down to it, man. Thursday night matchup, my Broncos, still wearing the orange and blue a little bit underneath it. Not looking good, man. But this is always – like Patrick Mahomes has never lost to the Broncos, never in his career. So it's like the Ben Roethlisberger Cleveland thing, Tom Brady, and who did he own? The Jets?
He owned everybody in that division. He owned that entire AFC East, man. But they beat the Bills, forever for a long time too.
Dude, yeah, he dominated them too. Tom Brady, I just think about everybody he's beat in a Super Bowl or a conference championship. It's unreal, dude, when you start really thinking about it. But thank God he's out of here. And, but back to Patrick Mahomes. To be in a division with an opponent and never lose to them, I mean, I think he's 10-0. I don't know how long Mahomes has been in the league. He's been to at least 3 Super Bowls. So, and he didn't make it one year. So that's what, 4? I think it's either his 4th or 5th year playing as a starter. And never lose to a team. The Broncos, they really mortgaged their future to go get Peyton Manning, but this new ownership is just not really figuring it out. I think that after tonight's loss of the Broncos, you're going to see a lot of Broncos traded off. I mean, and I don't know if that's Sean Payton's plan. I don't know if he wants to just destroy all this and think that he can build something better. I don't know if that was really his motive going in. I think he's kind of past his prime, like a lot of coaches that try to stick around and go rebuild with a new team. I mean, the Andy Reids of the world are Jake Vermeils of the world are very few and far between, okay? Oddly enough, those guys both went with the Eagles and lost a Super Bowl as the Eagles head coach. Pretty funny. But, yeah, I just looking at this game tonight, I'm thankful for it. I'm really glad we got football tonight. So I believe this is at Arrowhead. So it's going to be loud. It's going to be rowdy. The Chiefs have been winning despite not playing that great. We can all kind of look and tell that offense isn't what it's been the past 2 years. They're not putting up the points like they normally do. But somehow that underrated defense, even without Nick Bolton, their best player, just still keeps chugging along and keeping people down. Steve Spagnuolo, one of the best defensive coordinator coaches of this century, easily. But, yeah, man, so just to kind of break it down, I got a pretty simple bet. I got I'll tease down the Chiefs to win a quarter unit, okay? So what it is that Kansas City, -3. So we can get a push. I didn't put it on the hook. I dropped it down. I believe that's still being dropped down about 5 points. I didn't look at the spread this morning, but I believe it was 8.5 or 9 the last time I looked. So that returns 1 unit. I'm putting a full unit on it, and I'm getting 0.27 unit back on it. So that's my favorite straight prop bet of the day. Evan, what about you, man? What are you looking at today?
Man, it was 10.5 last night. It's up to 11 now.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, good. See, we got on the line a little early. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, and listen, like, I don't think the Chiefs blow them out, but I do not have the confidence to put plus 11 on the Broncos because I think the Chiefs win this game, of course, and they do have the potential to easily blow the Broncos out of the water. But like you said, I mean, it's a division game, and although the Broncos haven't won, in 5 years, they do tend to play the Chiefs tough, and this is a Chiefs team, like you said, that's kind of muddled along. I know that's tough to say when you're 4-1, but they haven't looked like the dominant 4-1 team. But with that being said, I'm not touching either side with that many points for sure. Like I said, Chiefs are going to win this game, but could be close, could be a blowout. I expect a lot of ground game, right? I mean, we've seen this Bronco run defense just get shredded week after week after week. Everybody loves Pacheco's yards. I'm not opposed to playing Pacheco's yards at all. That's not the bet that I'm going with, though, because I feel like that's just everywhere, and anybody has that, and that's fine. It may hit, it may not. What I really like is Pacheco's rush attempts tonight, over 16.5. They're going to run the ball. Pacheco's got 16 and 20 the last 2 games. He's kind of become that workhorse. And you know what? Maybe he rushes the ball 20 times and they do it to keep him honest, and Denver bottles him up a bit. And he only hits 70 yards, but he rushes 20 carries. Everybody's done it, man. Breece Hall, Khalil Herbert, Devon Achane, Brian Robinson, Josh Jacobs, and even Mostert in that Dolphins game had 13 on top of Devon Achane. So every starting running back or a running back has had over 16.5. I just don't see Pacheco being any different. Over 16.5 rushing attempts. It's at -110. Putting a unit, everything I'm giving out today, I'm putting a unit across the board. So 1 unit on Pacheco there.
It's at -110, you said?
Yeah, -110. So I think 1.9 return.
I think, yeah, it should be 0.9 return of an investment.
Yeah, return 0.95.
Prop amount.
Yeah, 0.95. So, and then just sticking with the Chiefs running backs, I also like Jerick McKinnon tonight on his receiving yards. McKinnon last year against these Broncos, 4 touchdowns. I mean, he had 12 catches for 164 yards. It's a matchup that they can exploit. Andy Reid, you talked about Andy Reid. He knows, he remembers that too. This is a game as well where the winds are expected to be kind of bustling around 20 plus miles an hour. Don't know exactly what's going on with Kelsey. This Chiefs passing game hasn't been that strong. Pacheco, I mean, 13.5 yards. That's not a lot. He's getting, 19 snaps a game, running 10 routes a game. He's got a 23% target share on those routes. Over 12.5 in 3 or 4 games. So I think hitting 13.5, that might be a first half winning bet right there. And that's at -125. So I like me some McKinnon tonight. I think it's a great matchup. And I think with all the factors considered, I think he gets involved too.
Yeah, his usage has been pretty sporadic. I do have him in the league tonight, so I hope he does well, including the Kings Classic. I got him in, so I really need him. Yeah, dude, just trying to get back to it. I didn't have as many bets to you today, so that's cool. You got McKinnon. So you have McKinnon over 13.5 receiving yards, or which one did you just say?
Yeah, over 13.5 receiving yards.
Cool, man. So you got Pacheco, both of the Kansas City Chiefs running backs. You kind of got a prop on them, over 16.5 rushing attempts, over 13.5 receiving yards for McKinnon. I do love that. I got a prop as well. Looking on the defensive side of the ball, Kareem Jackson, man, he was the leading tackler last week. He's had 10, I think, and 8. Let me pull up real quick. I should have had that prepared, but he's old. He's in his 14th year, man. So I think that kind of the books kind of work against him, and they expect him to have kind of like soft coverage, so to speak. But that's just simply not been the case because Denver's just defense has been allowing everything to get to the 3rd level. Yeah, so last week against the Jets, he had 10. Against Chicago, he had 8. And against Miami, he had 8. Okay, so you could say 3 run-heavy teams if you'd like. There's great running backs there. They were able to have that crazy comeback against Chicago. They kind of made it close to the Jets until the very end. But Jackson's been on the field for all that. I mean, his snaps, 55, 73, 65, 59. Like, he's not really leaving the field despite being a 14-year player. And that prop, I got it at plus money, actually, my friend. So I put a full unit on it, and it returns 2.05, so a little over a unit back. It was plus 105. So I think it's pretty good option. I mean, he's going to be covering Kelsey. He might be helping out in some deep crossing routes or something like that. And he comes up and will play the run game, or if the run game keeps doing as well as it's been against the Broncos, it'll be getting to that second and third level. That's part of the reason Singleton has so many tackles. Like, that defensive line, they're not stopping any running game. It's all getting to the second and third level. So I feel pretty confident about it. It will be my jailhouse bet of the night. Got to get back on track over there. But, yeah, dude, that's my prop. I do feel good with the Broncos. I feel like the Chiefs will have more offensive plays than the Broncos, and kind of fits your narrative with what you said, 2021 rushes, and just trying to keep them honest and maybe try to eat up clock. So that's probably my favorite prop bet tonight. What else you got for us, man?
Nice. Can't be IDP Iggy if you don't bring a defensive prop to the table. You know what I mean? So always, as you always do, and they're always good. So, yeah, I mean, the Broncos, I forget what I was going to say there, but yeah, these two teams played in 2 weeks too. So, how much, not that they don't know each other, but, I just expect a lot of ground game too, because I just think that, Andy Reid will wait to open it up a little more when Kelsey's hopefully healthier in a couple weeks. So you're at home, ground and pound, and that defense has played well. So go to the other side of the ball. We'll stick with running backs. You got Javonte Williams. I know everybody is down on this kid. He had a terrible, terrible knee injury. I'll use this as a side note. Personally, if I'm a fantasy owner of Javonte Williams in Dynasty, I'm holding on to him unless I'm getting real value. Next year will be his year to be unleashed. So don't worry about Jaleel McLaughlin, Samaje Perine. Just be patient. Don't give up. I like Javonte, man. But tonight, I like his under 38.5 rushing yards. So I boost him up there to take his under rushing. But listen, the Chiefs defense has done a good job against running backs. They're top 10 in the league in rushing yards per game. They held Madison to 70 yards last week, I think, on 18 carries. We saw McLaughlin play well. I don't think he just gets relegated to some backup role and Javonte comes in and becomes a workhorse when he hasn't had more than 12 carries in a game this year. He missed a game last week. We've seen Perine. I think the Broncos are going to have to throw some short passes in this game. I think you'll see Perine out there. And if the Broncos fall behind, if this is a game that the Chiefs take the lead, Perine's going to be the one out there getting the passing work. So I just don't know if Javonte's going to get the workload regardless of the script. This is 1-2. I got it. I believe it opened at 42.5. I got it a couple days ago at 38.5. I think it's all the way down to 34.5 or 35.5. So it started to drop, so clearly, the money's coming in on that under. They're trying to make up for that, entice people, to see that low number for a starting running back, if you will. But, I don't buy it. I just think under 38.5 with the three running backs that are there, his workload, the team they're playing, the game script. So I got to go Javonte under 38.5. That's a unit as well, and it returns, I think it's 0.82 units.
0.82. So, yeah, a little under -110, it sounds like. What else you got for us, man?
I also got a Jerick McKinnon anytime TD. So I know you'll like that. Like you said, he's playing in your lineup. You said the word sporadic about him. He's always got a few games each year that he seems to kind of light up that fantasy sheet. I don't know if he lights it up tonight. I do think he finds the end zone. Like I said, Kelsey is banged up. They don't have a ton of options in the red zone, right? We don't know who they go to. They like to kind of do those little gizmo gadget handoffs, runarounds. McKinnon is very involved in the red zone. And Pacheco is, probably going to score. Kelsey will probably score, but their odds are, -115 and like -170 for Kelsey. McKinnon's plus 350. I mean, give me McKinnon, who's involved enough, like I said, over 10 targets, over 10 routes a game, 23% target share again. He can score from outside the red zone, inside the red zone. They can use him there on those short little dump offs. Mahomes can throw his little shovel pass. I'll take my chances at plus 350, to return 3.5 units on a 1-unit bet.
Yeah, that's a pretty good bet. I kind of have something like that myself. But yeah, go ahead and wrap up your last bet there too, because we got
And
some.
then we will take some rushing yards. I like Russ. I don't know if Russ is going to cook, but I think he can cook up 21 yards on the ground. 2 games, Russ has had, 49 yards and 56 yards rushing. The other couple games, he's kind of been non-existent in that area, but he did go over this number both times last year against the Chiefs. He runs when he needs to. I don't think the ground game will be there. I think that the Broncos will need to pass, but it is windy. I just think there's going to be a lot of times where he's got Chris Jones, Mike Dana in his face. Good youngster on the other side of the line there for the Chiefs. I just think that Russ will have to escape a little bit. Zach Wilson had 14 yards on 2 scrambles last week and could have had more, and he is not mobile one bit. I think there's a little spot here for Russ to be able to get over that 20.5 rushing yards against this Chief defense. So the unit there as well, and that's returning about 0.83.
I love it, man. Yeah, we're both expecting pass rush a little bit. I got kind of a different little angle. That's my last bet. I only got 2.25 units going tonight. I'm up plus 233 units. So even if anything all goes bad, there'll still be plus units on this. Evan's got over 10 units plus. So something's working over here. We're doing something right. Okay. But I got like a money back, or, partial money back if the same game parlay doesn't hit. So our same game parlay, I just went money line with the Chiefs. Didn't get a spread, didn't tease a spread. I just went straight money line. And then I, too, went McKinnon touchdown just simply to boost those odds like you talked about. There's potential for him to do that. He scored 2 kind of garbage touchdown passes on, 3 weeks ago? So maybe something like that will happen. Maybe they'll get more usage out of him this game. Like you said, a history of proven success against the Broncos as well. And then I just added Mahomes over 14.5 rushing yards. I think his line's a little higher than that. I just went with, Mahomes has been running every game just about. Let me try to pull up his stat yards real quick.
I feel like Mahomes gets over 14.5, every week. I mean, he runs for a couple first downs on those long extended plays. It feels like all the time. Obviously, yeah. I know he doesn't have a ton of yards, but that's just seems like he does that consistently.
Well, look, here's his rushing yards for the season so far. 45, 30, 28, and 51. So he's getting flushed out of the pocket, and he's going. I mean, 14.5. We may have should have put 19.5. But I'm just trying to hit the same game parlay. I'm not trying to, make a fantastic, big move overall. And it is his 6th year, and he didn't start his first year set behind Alex Smith. That, pretty beneficial, I think. And then, ever since then, he's just absolutely crushed the Broncos every year since 2018. So
what's his lowest rush total on the season?
His lowest rush total on the season is 28 yards.
28 yards. Yeah. So the line's 21.5. So even that's
not bad. I mean, his rushing attempts per game 6, 7, 3, 7. So he's had 3 or more rushing attempts per game. I think he has more rushing yards than Jerick McKinnon. It's pretty crazy to think. I'm pretty sure
easily. And he knows when to run. He runs when the field is open.
And I feel like the bookies just haven't caught up to that line all season. You know what I mean? I feel like that's a good line. I may go place another unit on that or a half a unit on that.
You mentioned last week on, I don't know if it was the check down or midweek, but you mentioned that QB line seems to be low. I mean, and last week I jumped all over Zach Wilson 8.5, and he had 14 and easily could have had more. I mean, there's definitely lines for guys like that who don't run where they have to run, man. The lines, like you said, they just haven't quite caught up to that. So I think looking at that, looking at the matchups, looking at other quarterbacks that have had success, it's a good line to watch for sure.
No, I like it, man. I think they've been off on the pocket passers. And I put in 0.25 unit on that, and it returns 1.3 units. So over a unit gain, we can gain a couple of units tonight with just the prop bet and then the same game parlay. Now, same games are hard. It's really extremely difficult to hit 3 things in one game. I'm sure the more you bet, the more you'll experience that. But that's why I just put 0.25 a unit on it. I didn't go crazy. I get almost all that money back if it doesn't hit to put on a free bet. Probably turn around and put that on a future. and that's kind of how I operate. But we're planning on it winning, planning on getting up a couple units. Just to recap what you got over here, Evan, I'll bring up the screen again, and we'll just go over your bets one more time, and then we'll call it a day, my friend. Let's see here. So there they should be popping up. Yeah, just want to go over your bets one more time, and then we'll close it out, man.
So we got Isaiah Pacheco over 16.5 rushing attempts, and all these are going to be a unit. So Pacheco over 16.5 attempts. We got Javonte Williams under 38.5 rushing yards. We got Jerick McKinnon over 13.5 receiving yards and an anytime TD for McKinnon at plus 350, which that's the toughest of the 3 legs. I think the other 2 will hit, no problem. So if that hits, I think we hit the 3-leg and the anytime TD. That'll be a good night in itself, just right there. And Russ to cook a little on the ground, over 20.5 rushing yards as well tonight.
So, yeah, you got 11.9 units you can gain, -5. So you got a 6.969 unit gain. As you can see right there, Evan up 10, pretty much in a half units. I don't think that's dollars. Oh, wait, no, that's the money sign just to say you're plus money. 10.49 units. Man, that's pretty dadgum good, man, going into week 6. You've really been finding your stride lately. And I just wanted to show this all to everybody because this is how you document your bets. You need to be documenting your bets. You don't need to be lying to yourself. Last week, I lost a little over 1.25 unit. Okay, you need to document those things. All right, you need to be documenting how you're doing, what bets you're doing well on, what bets you aren't doing well on. And that way you can kind of figure out where you need to be attacking the bookies. All right, you don't want to. I've never understood the strategy of find something you're bad at and become good at it. No, I much more believe what you're good at, go refine those skills and become great at it. That's just kind of my philosophy and how I approach everything. To people that don't do that, kudos, to each their own. I just kind of feel like, if I've already got some kind of advantage that I'm seeing or something that I'm computing and analyzing that looks well, I'm going to keep going with that, man. Any closing thoughts from you, sir?
Just on that a little, I mean, I didn't do it obviously tonight because one of the tight ends is, banged up and the other team doesn't really have a tight end. I mean, I do see people liking Troutman as a possible touchdown. I think he's plus 400 or plus 500, but I don't have the gall to lay that one. But, I love tight ends. I mean, you see throughout all my bets, if you go through my sheet, you see tight ends on there all week. It's a matchup I like to expose. It's a line I think that I've found, that I'm good at, and so definitely don't want to reach in other areas. So I do have to update my sheet with a baseball bet that I gave out last night. If I give out a bet on Twitter, I do put it on my sheet, even if it's not on the show. I did give out a baseball bet. I did take the L on it with Brandon Fat pitching under 12.5 outs last night, but I'm a diehard SoCal Padre fan. The Dodgers got swept, so they can have that unit.
Yeah, that's a weird thing about baseball. 3 of the top 4 seeded teams are out. I'm assuming if Atlanta loses, that they'll be out. And that would mean that Houston's the only one left. I mean, the Baltimore as a top seed is out. The Dodgers are out. And who else was the other NL team?
Diamondbacks.
They beat the Dodgers, but who was the other? Who did? What's the other matchup in the NL?
Braves and Phillies.
Oh, yeah. So, if the Phillies beat the Braves, both the top seeds are out of the NL.
And the Rangers, the Rangers took down the Orioles.
Took down the Orioles, and Houston's the only one left. I guess Houston won the West coming out. It had to have.
They won it on the last day. The Rangers
lost.
On
the last day. The Rangers lost
and
right?
The Astros won, and they had the same exact record, but the Astros got the tiebreaker. So we've got an all-Texas, ALCS.
This is the 7th year in a row that Houston Astros have been in the ALCS, dude. That's a dynasty by every stretch of the imagination. I don't even remember the Yankees being that dominant in the 90s. Maybe they were, but I don't really remember them being that good. And they've rebounded from the cheating thing. So, it goes to show if you cheat, you do get an advantage. But the guy like Lance Armstrong cheated, to win. But he's still a great, great athlete. You know what I mean? So even though those guys, got caught with that, I think that's a pretty interesting note to tell people and be like, hey, that's a well-run program. Honestly, the interesting thing is Nolan Ryan was a advisor or a president or in some way capacity involved with both of those teams since they've basically made their run around. I mean, Rangers went to 2 World Series, in the past 10 years, past 12 years, they've been to 2 World Series. Like we just talked about Houston Tech, our Astros, 7 ALCSs in a row. So credit to him, man. 7 no-hitters, no Cy Young Award winners, 7 Cy Young winner awards for Roger Clemens, and no hitters. So kind of interesting how that works out. A little baseball fact for you for today. But yeah, we do like baseball. I bet on baseball. I bet on hockey. I had some successful bets, but I just didn't share them with anybody. So I will not be putting those up. I do track my jailhouse bets. It's that little piece of paper right there. All right. So I do track them. I don't put them on the digital for everybody, but I post up my unit count. Lost 5 units on the jailhouse bets. I was able to cash out. Just didn't tell everybody else to do it. I feel awful about that. So I'm counting it as a loss, even though I won 2 units off of that, actually. So all good. Remember to cash out. Do not be scared to cash out on a bet, especially if the game's really close. Like if they're giving you any kind of positivity on it, cash it out. Just cash it out. Live to fight another day. That's always a good lesson. All right, Evan, thank you for being here, guys. We appreciate you. Your time is valuable. Go place these bets. Be smart with your money, okay? If you're getting low, place some half unit bets, okay? It's all right. It's all right to drop your unit count down if you need to, or not use all the unit on a bet. That's perfectly acceptable. Once again, we're covering you from everything we can get covered. Basketball bets will be coming around the corner. We will be back on that action, guarantee it. And it's just fun, man. But football goes fast. It goes so fast to get 3 games a week, 18 weeks in the playoffs. So we're entering 33% of the season being completed already. We're already past that in the fantasy football season. A lot of people's seasons end week 14. So we're getting really close to 50% of the regular season for fantasy football. Betting is year-round, though, so we'll be here for you guys year-round. On Spotify Mondays, possibly. We might try to get the show on StreamYard Mondays as well. But if not, just go check out our Spotify, the Sports Affiliation. You can find us right there. You can find our bets. Evan and I, sometimes we do separate shows. So you just have the audio version of us. Don't get to see our pretty faces, but that's okay. Evan, any closing remarks, sir?
No, man. Thank you, everybody. Hopefully we can, we're betting smart tonight. We're looking to be a little lucky as always, right, Iggy? That's what we do here, my man. And we got a couple more things going on today. I mean, just a shout out again, Better Vision. You guys hear us talking about the app, everything in one place. Download it on your iPhone, coming to Android. And Fantasy Football Advice Network, man. Great group of guys over there that we are privileged to do some work with, get to talk football, all season long. So I know we have the Thursday Checkdown show at 7:00 Eastern tonight. Hall of Famer Greg Kellogg on there. You got Iggy, JC, and I believe we have another special guest as well.
Yeah, Tim, I believe is his name.
Tim, and then Straight Tippin will be on there as well, right? So we got what a lineup there. And then tonight we got, followed by the game. I think we got the point after with the fantasy football guys. So they'll be talking about the Thursday night game. They'll be answering fantasy questions. And you can go on Fantasy Football Advice Network. Go on. It's the Twitter, the X of fantasy football. Put in your questions. Make an account real quick. Advice all week long. So definitely check them out. Check out those shows tonight before and after the game. Other than that, thank you for tuning in. Thank you, Iggy.
Yeah, Evan, thank you for being here. Evan up 10 units. I'm up a little over 2. Keep rocking it with us. We'll keep building that bankroll. You guys take care. Best smart. Be lucky.